Hi, it's good to be back with you again. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. The text for our devotional today is 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 4. As you come to him, a living stone, rejected by men, but in the sight of God, chosen and precious. As you come to him, that's Jesus, who is a living stone, rejected by men, but in the sight of God, chosen and precious. We can almost picture the master stonemasons at the quarry. They're choosing cut stones that are going to be used in the construction of Herod's magnificent temple in Jerusalem. The quarrymen, the stone cutters at the quarry, have been busy cutting great blocks of stone and laying them out, arranging them so that these master masons can come and examine them. We watch as these builders walk around these stones, looking at them very carefully, examining them very carefully. This one here seems to have the beginnings of a very small crack in it. And this one over here, it's got a streak of red running right down through it. And this stone here, if you look at it carefully, it hasn't been cut quite right. It's just a little bit crooked. These stones are all rejected. As far as the master builders are concerned, they're of absolutely no value whatsoever. They might as well be chopped up, sold to villagers to be used building their houses and building their walls. And Peter, in our text, compares Jesus to these stones that are rejected by the master builders. He refers to Jesus as a living stone, rejected by men. And we know that Jesus was rejected by the master builders of Judaism, the scribes, the Pharisees, the Sanhedrin. He was rejected because he did not meet their criteria. He was not from among them. He was not a person who had great power or influence with the authorities. He was a poor northerner who had absolutely no political impact at all. Oh yeah, he had followers, but just look at them. Poor people, sick people, crippled people, tax collectors and sinners. The masters of Judaism saw nothing in Jesus that made him attractive to them. But then Peter says that in the sight of God, Jesus was chosen and precious. This is something that these human eyes could not see, because man can only look on the external. Man can only see what's on the outside. And so, for all appearances, Jesus was a nobody. In the eyes of men, a nobody. In the eyes of God, chosen and precious. Now, they had no idea that the God that they claimed to worship held Jesus in the highest esteem. They had no way of discerning the immensity of the love that God the Father had for his Son. They could not hear the countless choirs of angels singing their heavenly hymns of praise to Jesus. In eternity past, God the Father had chosen his Son to be his anointed and his Holy One. There was none like him. He was the most precious stone of all of the glorious jewels of heaven. Men rejected him, but God valued him more than any other. Our devotional thought for today has to do with how God sees us in the sight of God. Not many of us are wise in the eyes of the world. Not many of us are famous or powerful or honored by the influential people in our society. No one knows us. No one knows what we can do. And frankly, nobody cares. But perhaps it's worse than that. Perhaps, like Jesus, we have been rejected. Rejected just like the master masons rejected those stones. Perhaps you've been rejected by your own family. Have you lost friends? Are you ignored? People don't even know who you are, and they don't even care. Or maybe we've done this to ourselves. Maybe you've done this to yourself. You've rejected yourself. You've said, I just don't measure up. I don't have any value. I can't do anything. I'm not worthy. These are the kind of things that can cause discouragement and depression. These kind of things can lead us to a place of a burden, a heavy burden, and sadness and despair. They make us feel worthless, but God does not see us the same way that the world sees us. In fact, God does not see us the same way we see ourselves. In the sight of God, we're different. The world may reject us just as it rejected Jesus, but God sees us as his precious and chosen children. We need to learn to understand just how much God loves us. That will change our relationship with God completely. Listen to this from Isaiah chapter 62 and verse 4. You shall no longer be termed forsaken, but you shall be called, my delight is in her, for the Lord delights in you. Let that sink in for a moment. The Lord delights in you. Next time that you go to prayer, you can say, Lord, I know that you delight in me. Let me know that. Let me feel that. His love is so immense, he demonstrated it in giving his dearly, dearly beloved Son to die on the cross, to set us free from the burden of sin and slavery to the enemy. He cares for us. He's shaping us into the image of his Son, Jesus, so that we'll be like him. Nothing in the world can harm us. The rejection of the world, the measurement of the world, is not a true measure of the value that God sees in us. God loves us. That gives us a reason in itself to love him and to pursue him with all our hearts. Thanks for being with me today. I look forward to seeing you next time. God bless.